Before we start, this case is incredibly disturbing. A husband dies after allegedly being poisoned with a fentanyl-laced cocktail.
Then, his wife writes a children's book about grief while allegedly stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from his estate.
Today, we're breaking down the chilling case of Kouri Richins.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Stop Who Does That. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Jackie.
We want to wish everyone a happy new year again and hope you're having a great week. It's our first week back to work and school for so many of us, including myself, trying to get back in the swing of things here at the office. And I am happy that this week is almost finally over. But it was nice to have a bunch of time off. And it's always an adjustment going back into the work mode, but we are doing it. How about you, Jackie?
Well, it's been a slow week for me. I'm going back to work in about 6 weeks after taking 6 months off. So I'm just kind of going through the motions this week, getting the kids back into the swing of things and just trying to enjoy the last of my time at home. Yeah.
Well, before we get into this week's episode, we, of course, want to take a moment to thank all of our viewers and listeners. We really appreciate the support so much. We just hit over 500 subscribers on YouTube. So
Woohoo!
thank you so much. It's a huge milestone, and we couldn't do it without your support. So thank you. Please continue to share the podcast with your family and friends who love true crime too. They can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube to continue to watch our episodes.
Today, we have a very multi-layered case coming from Utah as far back as 2022. Wife and mother allegedly accused of poisoning and killing her husband with a fentanyl-laced cocktail. And then authoring a children's book about coping with grief. Her trial was supposed to take place in 2025, but was recently pushed back and now scheduled to take place in February 2026.
Let's get into the background of Kouri and Eric Richins. Kouri Richins was born on April 20th, 1990, making her just 32 years old at the time of the crime. Kouri and Eric Richins wed in 2013 in Utah. They went on to have 3 children together and lived in a new development in the town of Francis, which is roughly 50 miles east of Salt Lake City, Utah. Eric Richins descended from a large family, well known locally, with members active in local politics and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He met Kouri Richins when she worked at a local Home Depot, where he often shopped, a former colleague told KUTV. At the time of their marriage, Eric Richins owned a successful stone masonry business. And in 2019, Kouri started a real estate business where she bought and flipped and resold homes. As part of a prenuptial agreement, Eric was married before Kouri and was encouraged by his mother to get a prenup. So as part of a prenuptial agreement, the couple relinquished all rights or claims to any business they established. The only exception was if Eric Richins died while the two were still married. In that case, his business would transfer to his wife, Kouri. This trust will become very important as we get further into the case here. Family members interviewed by investigators.
So, as we dive deeper into what led up to the murder, prosecutors allege that on March 4th, 2022, Kouri Richins called the police in the middle of the night to say that she had found her husband unresponsive. She told authorities that she served her husband a Moscow Mule in bed and then went to sleep with one of her young children who was having a night terror. Now, in case you're not familiar with a Moscow Mule, that is served in a mug, usually a copper mug with ice, ginger beer, and vodka. A medical examiner later found Mr. Richins died from a fentanyl overdose. According to court documents, between December 2021 and February 2022, Ms. Richins had texted a person who previously had been arrested on drug charges asking for prescription pain medication for an investor she had that had a back injury. In a lot of the court proceedings, this person is referred to as the initials CL. Ms. Richins received hydrocodone pills, the court document said, before she specifically asked for fentanyl. 3 days after she allegedly obtained the drugs, she and her husband had a Valentine's Day dinner, after which he fell ill. So, just to clarify here, there were multiple instances of Kouri trying to poison her husband. Yes, you heard that right. Multiple. So she's contacted this person, CL, multiple times to obtain drugs. On Valentine's Day, she served her husband a sandwich that we believe contained the
Mhm.
hydrocodone pills. He did have an anaphylactic reaction to those pills and was given Benadryl and an EpiPen. Eric told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. Fast forward a couple weeks later, after texting with CL that she needed the quote Michael Jackson stuff,
My
which
God.
we assume now is the fentanyl, but she spiked his Moscow Mule with the fentanyl. And then around 2100 hours on March 3rd, 2022, she and Eric were celebrating the closing on a house for her house flipping business. Now, just for some background, Eric and Kouri had been arguing about her even purchasing this house because her house flipping business was already in so much debt that it wasn't worth her purchasing this house and attempting to flip it. So on this evening, while they're celebrating, Kouri states that she made him this Moscow Mule in the kitchen, brought it to their bedroom, where Eric consumed it while sitting in bed. The only people in the house that night were Kouri, Eric, and the 3 minor children. Kouri said she went to bed with her husband, and shortly after she went to sleep, one of the children awoke in the children's bedroom and was having a night terror. She went in to console that child and fell asleep in bed with that child until about 3 a.m., to which she came back to her and Eric's bedroom. She said that she felt Eric was cold to the touch, and that's when she called 911. This was at 3:22 a.m. on March 4th, 2022. Kouri told law enforcement that when she left her room to go to her child's room, she left her phone plugged in next to her bed and did not take this phone to her child's room. However, between when Kouri said she went to the child's room and when she called 911, the status on her phone shows that it was locked and unlocked multiple times and that there was movement recorded on the phone. So she went back to bed with Eric around 3 a.m. and then dialed 911 at 3:22 a.m., Jenna. So for 22 minutes, she's messing around on her phone. What do you think of that?
I mean, that wouldn't be my reaction if my husband was cold to the touch in bed. I would be calling 911 immediately and not getting off the phone with them until they showed up at the house. So I wouldn't be scrolling TikTok.
This goes to show that there was no sense of urgency and kind of speaks to the fact that she intentionally did this to her husband, because why else would you not be having a sense of urgency about calling 911?
Yeah, that does not make her look good.
Not only that, but she did tell the first responders that she attempted CPR, but when they attempted CPR in the scene, they did see foaming at his mouth, which goes to show that there were compressions being had and those secretions were getting pushed back up.
Yeah.
And they noticed that if she really did do CPR like she said she would have, why wasn't there any foaming at his mouth when they arrived? So they're calling into question whether or not she actually attempted life-saving measures. But at the same time, I'm sure her defense counsel can say, well, is there a possibility she didn't do the CPR correctly or deep enough to cause that pressure and have those secretions come back up? So that
Possible.
sure will
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
discussed at the trial. Not only that, Jenna, not only was she not acting like somebody who was distraught, her husband just passed away, but she continued to celebrate this house closing the next day and threw a party at her house.
Wow.
So March 6th, comes around 2 days after the murder, arranged for a locksmith to drill Eric's safe, which contained between $125,000 and $165,000 in cash. When Eric Richards' sister suggested that the defendant did not have the authority to open Eric's safe because there was a trustee and Kouri was not it, Kouri became so enraged, she punched Eric's sister in the face and the neck. The sheriff's deputies responded to this call and called Eric's estate planning attorney from the scene. Here, this is when Kouri learned for the first time of the existence of the Eric Richins Living Trust. A year after her husband's death, would you believe, Kouri wrote a children's book about helping children cope with the loss of a loved one called Are You With Me? And she was featured on local television networks and local children's bookstores in the Salt Lake area. She even dedicated the book to Mr. Richins, whom she described as, quote, my amazing husband and wonderful father. Regarding her motivation for the book, Kouri explained the death of her husband Eric served as her inspiration. Quote, so my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So March 4th is our 1 year anniversary for us. He was 39, she recalled to ABC News 4. It completely took us all by shock, and we have 3 little boys that are 10, 9, 6. Quote, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on different emotions that you experience through grieving processes that we've experienced in the last year, hoping that it can help other kids with this and, find happiness some way or the other. Well, Jenna and I scoured the internet looking for this book, and I believe Amazon cut it as soon as she was arrested. A lot of places have taken it off. However, right before we sat down to record, I did find it on YouTube. There's a YouTube account, Miss Moore. She's kind of like a Reading Rainbow
Mhm.
account. Looks like a really great account, actually. And I've honestly thought about doing something like this, Jenna, for my kids, but she has it. It's about 5 minutes, and we're going to play it for you guys because I don't think anyone has really talked about this in the podcast, like what the book says.
No, no.
And I listened to it before we sat down, and I said to Jenna, I was texting her, and I'm like, this is diabolical.
What an evil, evil person.
Yeah, so Jenna has not heard this book yet.
No.
You guys are in for I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I don't know how to put this into words, the rage you're gonna feel when you listen to this book. But
Okay. I'm ready.
alright, you can see it? Okay. All right, here we go.
Started as a whisper.
Are You With Me? By Kouri Richins. Dedication. Dedicated to my amazing husband and a wonderful father.
Give me a break.
Always on our minds, forever in our hearts. Weston, Carter, Eric, Kouri, Ashton, and Harley. Are you in the clouds when I look up to see you? To tell you about my day? Ask about yours and tell you that I love you? Are you at my soccer game when I scored that goal for you? I looked for you in the crowd, but you weren't there. Did you see it? Are you with me on my birthday to blow out my candles, to celebrate another year and watch me grow, teach me new things, and watch me make mistakes? Are you with me on my first day of school, when I'm scared, nervous, and have the butterflies? Will I make friends? Will the teachers be kind? Will you walk the halls with me that day? Are you with me on Christmas when Santa delivers my presents? When I rip through them as fast as I can because I can't wait to see what's next. Did you see what I got from Santa? Are you with me when I'm sad because I miss you? When I'm thinking about you and wondering what we would be playing today if you were here? Are you with me when I'm happy? When something exciting has happened? Can you see me smiling and my heart so full? Are you happy with me? Are you with me when I'm in danger and I'm scared? When my palms are sweaty, my heart rapidly beating, and I need you. Are you there with me to make sure I'm safe? Yes, I am with you. I am with you to listen about your day and tell you about mine. I sit next to you while you talk with my arm around your shoulder and my head on your head while we talk together. I am with you when you scored that goal for me. You couldn't hear me cheer for you, but I yelled and clapped as loud as I could, just like always. Yes, I am with you while you blow out your candles for yet another birthday. Although I'll miss the upcoming years, I stand hand in hand with you, walking with you, helping you, and praising you. I will watch you grow into a fine young man. Yes, I am with you as you walk the halls of the new school, making new friends, meeting new teachers. I will sit at your desk next to you, teaching you, pushing you to try harder, and giving you my love when you succeed. Yes, I am with you on Christmas. I'm in my Christmas pajamas, drinking hot chocolate, and I have the glow in my eyes watching you open your gifts. You can't see my smile, but it's there. I'm here, and we're together. Yes, I am with you when you are feeling sad, when your eyes are full of tears, your heart is empty, and you miss me. I am wiping away the hurt, holding you in my arms, and telling you I love you. I am here with you. Yes, I am with you when you are happy and you are so excited your heart could burst. I am next to you, smiling, proud, and holding your hand. You can't hear me whisper, but I do tell you that I love you. Yes, I am with you when you are scared. I am holding on to you to give you the courage to stay strong and brave. I hold you to make sure you're not alone and to remind you everything will be okay. I hear you when you speak to me and ask me how I am, and to tell me you love me. I watch down over you, embrace you, feel you, hear you. I gently reply, I love you too. I am here with you every day, every minute, every second. Although you cannot see me, I am there. It's me in the wind. I'm the chill you feel. It's me, feeling as if someone's with you. I will forever love you, my sweet baby, until we see each other again. Yes, I am with you.
Wow. Um, how about you don't allegedly murder your husband and then you don't have to worry about this? It's almost like Kouri Richins was so obsessed with money that even in Eric's death, she wanted to make money off of it.
The whole time I'm thinking, and this is the same woman who allegedly put 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in her husband's Moscow Mule to cause this in her children's lives. And I have to say, it's a beautiful book, aside from the author. It's so well written and it talks about the children's emotions. What kills me is the part where it's like, "Are you with me when I'm afraid and my heart is pounding and my palms are sweaty?" I mean, this is describing a panic attack that one of her boys probably has been having.
It's truly sickening when you think
She
about
did
the
this to her
person
children.
who wrote the book. If you did not know that this person allegedly murdered their husband, you would think this is a well-written children's book about grief. When you find out it is written by the alleged killer of the man the book is about, it is truly sickening. I mean,
It's fucking child abuse
it's
is what
kind
it
of
is.
hard to listen to because the whole time I'm picturing her 3 boys, how
Yes.
horribly upset they are, and she's using their grief to
Yeah.
make a book. She's one evil person, just a monster.
Right, and think of all the other children out there reading that book whose dads or moms probably die from cancer or an accident or something. And then you've got this bitch over here writing a book that she
Yeah, going on a goddamn book tour and being on TV. Like,
Dedicating the book to the husband.
it's truly,
I mean, it made me like
mind blowing.
children, right? Like their first day of school, they're nervous. This like really taps into your emotions as a
It was
parent.
hard to listen to.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, yes, I know I've been there when my kids have gone through those things,
Yeah.
and I know how nervous they are and like how worried they get. And like whenever my husband travels for work, I mean, my kids are besides themselves. They're like, when can daddy come home? They're crying. And like, I can't imagine having to deal with a child who lost your spouse or your parent and the devastating feeling that you go through it where you can't make their pain go away, right? But she caused it.
Yeah, she caused it.
And not only that, Jenna, but she's attempted to do this to him more than once.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Yes.
More than once.
On
I
top
mean,
of going into the safe, trying to take out the money, assaulting,
sister.
physically assaulting his sister. This is a violent woman. The children are safe now away from her, but I mean, this was a violent, crazy, psychotic bitch. I mean, she kind of reminds me of Jodi Arias
Yes.
in the psychotic nature of her thinking and just how truly evil her mind was. It's terrible.
This is diabolical. It is diabolical to go to these lengths to make yourself look like this grieving widow, this mother that has to take care of these grieving children when you did, oh my God.
And I have a question, Jackie. Don't you think that when when he was found and they did the toxicology on his body, wouldn't you think it would come back that he had like 5 times the limit of fentanyl in his system? Like, was she not thinking that that would show?
I don't know, unless she was thinking like, oh, they'll just think he's a drug addict. But I don't know. I don't know what toxicology reports look like for true overdoses, but I feel like it's pretty much throwing up a red flag when it's like
Yes,
5,
yes.
6, 7 times.
Yes, I was gonna say the
below.
same thing. It's
I mean,
probably like 500,000 times greater than a regular overdose. That's
right,
how much it
exactly.
was.
An overdose maybe like will be just like a little bit over the
Yeah,
lethal
yeah,
limit, right? Like they overshot or whatever.
yeah.
But this is 5 times. That's pretty ridiculous. And then when you've got witnesses that can attest to the fact that just a few weeks ago on Valentine's Day, he got really sick
I'm glad he said something.
to someone.
Yes, because that helped the investigation a lot. If he would have kept that to himself, I mean,
Yeah.
always tell one trusted person, even if you're
Yeah.
getting like a bad feeling or something, isn't right,
Something, document it.
document it.
Because even before Valentine's Day, they went to Greece a few years prior to that, and he got sick then and told his sister, I think she's trying to do something.
It almost makes you think, like, if only he could have gotten away from her
Yeah.
before that in between the Greece and the Valentine's Day dose.
Yeah.
If only he could have gotten away. But she's that crazy. She probably would have freaking tried to kill him anyway. Like,
Uh, And, keep in mind that in October 2020, Eric did change his will and created that living trust, leaving his sister in charge because around that time, Kouri was taking out life insurance policies on his life without his knowledge and engaging in other financial stuff. So this was a storm brewing for a while, Jenna. A while. And you're right. Why didn't he leave?
maybe it was the kids. Maybe he truly didn't want to get divorced. He was already divorced once.
I
Maybe
think you're right.
he didn't want to get divorced again. He didn't want to
Yeah.
break up the family. And it just goes to show that, he was a commendable man and she really manipulated and took advantage of him.
And
So,
just to put it out there, if you're in a toxic relationship and you don't want a divorce because you don't want your kids to be split up or anything, I completely understand that. But just remember, what is the example of love that they're seeing? That's always something to keep in mind. Like there's a price for leaving, and then there's a price for staying too. And unfortunately, this didn't need to come out like this.
no. So,
Well, that was the book.
yeah.
And Jenna, if you want to talk about the
Yeah.
arrest.
So, okay, the crime as we talked about, was committed in March of 2022. Kouri was indeed arrested on May 8th, 2023. This is more than a year after Eric's death.
Wow,
It
I
was
wonder why it took so long.
I mean, she had long enough to write that book. She also went on book tour and interviews on TV, all in about 12-month
Yeah.
time frame.
Wow.
After several trial pushbacks, including the one we talked about that was supposed to be at the very end of this past year, 2025, it got pushed back again, and her official new trial date is set for February 10th, which is Jackie's birthday.
Yay!
So that'll be one of the first trials that we have going on here of this year. This is going to be a major trial, and we will definitely keep you up to date with it. But so when she was arrested, she was charged with many, many charges. So the first one being criminal homicide, aggravated murder. It's a first-degree felony in the state of Utah. That she intentionally or knowingly caused the death of another individual under the following circumstances. The actor committed homicide for pecuniary gain, and or the actor committed homicide by means of administration of a poison or any lethal substance, or of any substance administered in a lethal amount, which was the fentanyl.
Mhm.
She was also charged with possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. The defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance. Yeah. Okay. So she was charged with multiple felonies and misdemeanors. She has a whole slew of charges going on against her. Addition to these charges, Kouri also opened and spent home equity lines of credit, as well as withdrew money from Eric's many bank accounts. In September 2020, Eric Richins discovered that the defendant had obtained and spent $250,000 home equity line of credit on the Kama's home. That must have been a home that she was flipping. Drawn at least $100,000 from his bank accounts and spent in excess of $30,000 on his credit cards. That's a lot of money, Jackie. I mean, she was cleaning him out.
Yeah, so this is around the time he wound up changing his will and trust.
Yep, in
'Cause he was,
2020.
like, fed up with her doing this
Yep.
shit to him.
So besides opening the home equity line of credit, stealing the money from his bank accounts, and racking up his credit cards, she also had been appropriating distributions made from Eric's business for the purpose of making federal and state quarterly tax payments and not paying the taxes. The stolen tax payments totaled at least $134,346. Eric confronted Kouri about this when he found out, and she agreed to repay him, which I'm sure she never did. Unknown to Kouri, in October 2020, Eric Richins consulted both a divorce lawyer and the estate planning lawyer. Unknown to the defendant, Eric Richins proceeded to change his will
Mhm.
and formed the Eric Richins Living Trust, AUD, November 3rd, 2020. The trust and placed his estate under the control of his sister, Katie Richins Benson, for the primary benefit of his 3 minor children. So I'm sure she was the trustee and probably the custodian then of the children,
Mhm.
should anything happen. Eric Richins transferred his partnership interest in the business to his trust and designated the trust as the beneficiary of his $500,000 life insurance policy
Mhm.
instead of Kouri. So in 2020 is when he did all this background work. And yeah. So
She was playing checkers and he was playing chess, my friends. Thank God he did that because, as we know, when she wanted to get into that safe, her sister-in-law was like, "Oh, no, 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 sweetheart."
and yeah,
And he already has checkmate written
yeah,
all over this, and
we
that's
have
when he punched her out.
in my line of work in finance, we if you are going through a divorce, we always highly recommend you change the beneficiary to
Yep.
your trust or somebody else besides your spouse, because God forbid something happens to you, you do not want the person you're about to be divorced from getting
Mhm.
that money. So it seems like Eric was a very smart man
Oh
and
my
was
gosh.
doing those things. He was doing everything right.
Right. And also, just to add, with a trust, you draw up orders on how you want things done in
Mhm.
said trust.
Mhm.
And when you put a trustee in charge, they're responsible for executing your wishes according to the trust. So it's not like his sister can just steal that money. If he outlines my sons are to get X number of
Mhm.
dollars every year after they turn 18, his sister is responsible for making sure that happens.
All legal documents, and it's just I wish he would have also moved forward with the divorce. It was 2020. That's more
Yeah.
than enough time to have cleanly been totally finished with the divorce. It's 2 years, but like
Yeah.
we said, I mean, he
I
could have
think, yeah,
paid
there's all
for
of these
many
other
of
things
those.
that muddy the waters for people to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah.
But I feel like at that point, would you take anything she gives you to drink or eat? But he probably just let his guard down in that moment and was, I
That's
don't
a
know, maybe
great point.
everything was okay.
Especially after feeling sick from that sandwich,
3 weeks.
I'd be like, "Hell no, I'm not. I'm making my own drink."
Well, let's just talk about those life insurance policies that
Uh-huh.
she took out on her husband. I believe she also,
Without his knowledge.
yeah. So as crime junkies, we know that one of the main motives for murder is money. It always goes back to money or
Mhm.
drugs or love. Money, drugs, love. The top three. And
Mhm.
what comes with money are life insurance policies, right? And the death benefits that comes to the beneficiary after someone's passing. So we found out that Corey took out numerous, not one, but numerous life insurance policies out on Eric. I mean, she was like a kid in a candy shop, just going out and getting a life policy here, a life policy there. She even got them out on her children, guys. I mean, what was the point of that now? Like, was she going to kill them too?
That's a good
Allegedly.
point.
All of this is alleged, guys. Unbeknown to Eric Richins, between 2015 and 2017, Corey purchased at least 4 life insurance policies on his life with
Mhm.
the aggregate death benefits of 1.9 million. So if we add up all of those life insurance policies, she would get paid out 1.9 million.
Mhm.
These policies were purchased prior to the date of uh Eric forming that trust. So this is before 2020. He didn't disclose these in his estate planning documents in October 2020 because he didn't know about them.
Yeah.
So Eric sat down to put together that trust, leaving his sister in charge. These policies were not included in that trust. So theoretically, you could say, in the event of my passing, these 4 policies, when they pay out this 1.9 million, I want my sons to get X, Y, and Z from these policies, but those weren't included. That's a pretty high number, right, Jenna, to leave
Yeah.
out a trust document to leave to your kids. So that
Yes.
just further proves he truly did not know about them. Investigators also say that Eric and his business partner both had life insurance policies out on each other,
Mhm.
which Jenna, I know, in finance and in business partnerships, you do have life insurance
That's
policies.
very common. We
Yeah,
do it all the time.
it
We
is
work
very
with a
common.
lot of business owners, and it is a very common practice to have a life insurance policy on your business partner, because if one of you dies, that business is going under if you cannot sustain the income you were helping bring in. So that makes perfect sense why they had that on each other. But then Corey tried to tamper with that too.
She was on a roll in 2022. I don't know what happened in 2021 that got her all furious. I do know there were talks from an email that was going around the internet from Corey, stating that Eric was having an affair. So maybe that's what was fueling this fire. And she's like,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm really taking him out now. But on New Year's Day, 2022, so this is 2 months before she was successful,
Mhm.
allegedly successful in her attempts, she changed the beneficiary on this policy that I would assume the business partner had on Eric to make the beneficiary herself. And this
Yes.
is a $2 million life insurance policy. And you're probably wondering, how the hell did she do this? So Eric became aware of this because he and his business partner received emails that something had changed in their portal. So I'm sure all of us are aware when you make changes in any financial institution, you're going to get an email confirmation that something's changed. So they became aware at that point that she went in and changed it to herself. Then they went back in, Eric and his business partner, and restored it back to his business partner. Wow, she is diabolical.
She really just was unstoppable. She was
Yeah.
just like had dollar signs in her eyeballs and she couldn't see past that.
And not only that, she didn't stop there. So in 2015, 2017, where she was going crazy getting all these life insurance policies on Eric, she's like, I think we need a fifth one. So she filled out an application for another $100,000 life insurance policy on her husband's life. And that was issued on February 4th, 2022, only a month before his death, only 10 days before she tried to kill him on Valentine's Day. Allegedly. I mean, she didn't even think about the timing here.
Well, and we know when somebody, there is a homicide, one of the first questions is, did they have a life insurance policy and when was it taken out? And when you find out it was a month before the death, that does not look good. That just paints a horrible picture. If she did nothing else, none of these other things, that alone is
Oh my God.
a terrible picture.
And then after you kill him, let's just go write a book about it too. I mean, this woman is next level crazy.
Batshit crazy.
This is a psychopath, Jenna, because she has no emotions. I don't think she has any remorse.
No.
She doesn't think she did anything wrong. I mean, you have to truly believe deep in your heart you've done nothing wrong to somebody.
No, she never showed remorse,
Yeah.
and I never saw her cry at any court hearing. Nothing. And she's always very polished and put together. She looks like a cold, evil bitch, is
I
what
mean,
she
she
looks
looks
like.
like honestly, she's pretty.
Mhm.
I wouldn't look at her and be like, you look like a psychopath. Well, you're probably wondering, how do you even take out a life insurance policy on somebody else's life when I don't know if a lot of you know this, and maybe we're educating you today on life insurance, but when you take out a life insurance policy, you do have to go through medical underwriting. So the life insurer or the insurance company, right, Jenna, they're going to pay out a large sum if you die. And they want to know that you're pretty healthy and going to live for a while.
Yeah, and
Be- They
that
make money off of the payments that you're giving them each month, right?
Yeah, and there are different amounts of, we call it face value of a policy, and for those larger policies, like the $500,000 one Eric had and the $2 million one, Eric would have had to go through a medical underwriting to get approved at a pretty good rating, so he'd have like lower payments on that. But for
Right.
something like Corey was trying to do 100 grand,
Yeah.
something that small, you don't need to go through medical underwriting. So that's why you might ask yourself, why wasn't she going for like the big ones? Because they would have called him and been like, you need to do your labs, sir. And but with 100 grand, you don't need to go through underwriting. It's a small amount of money. In the life insurance world,
Mhm.
100 grand is a small amount. Yeah.
Wow. Now, there are some legal requirements that need to be met when you take out a policy on someone, and the insurance company won't approve that policy unless both are met. So, the first is you must have what's known as insurable interest in the person, which means you need to have a financial stake in whether that person continues to live or not. So, for example, his business partner, right? Like Jenna had mentioned, if your business partner dies, that's income they're not able to bring in, and you have a financial interest in them living, just like a wife, right? If he's providing, that's a loss of income if he were to die. So I guess she met that qualification. And then secondly, the person in question or the insured must consent to the policy. So they have to sign off on that. Like
Yes,
I
they
have to
do.
consent to my husband taking out a policy
Mm-hmm.
on my death. Which just, you know, it just goes to show that she had to have forged his signature, Jenna.
Yes. So I asked, around the office of how this could have happened. And the general consensus was she allegedly must have forged his signature. There is no way these policies could have been taken out without Eric's signature. So
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it was like, nowadays we do
DocuSign.
most everything through DocuSign.
Yeah.
So I don't. N 2022, yeah, for a small policy like that, I'm gonna say my opinion is it was probably DocuSign,
Yeah.
and she
Or she
just
just
signed it
logged in
that
under
way.
his email or made a fake email that looked like
Yes,
his
yes,
email.
yes, I think that's probably what she did.
I mean, it's too easy to commit fraud these days, but
Yeah, if you have no morals and you don't care about consequences or going to prison, then go for it.
yeah, and then the implications, so whoever sold these to her can get in trouble too.
Yes, I'd be shocked if they are even still practicing. They probably had a very hefty fine from FINRA.
It goes to show everyone has to be on their toes these days.
Mhm,
But now that we've kind of give you a little education on these life insurance policies, because Jenna and I are the kind of people like we want to ask why. We want to dig a little deeper, like how is
mhm,
this possible?
mhm.
So now let's talk about where she's at now, where this case
Yep,
stands, and all that good stuff.
yep. So on November 18th, 2025, a judge ruled against Kouri Richins' motions to reconsider bail. I can't believe she even tried to get bail. But she keeps trying and she keeps getting denied.
Yeah,
So,
and I listened to some of that proceeding, and the judge basically was like, the fact that you punched your sister-in-law in the face and then these multiple attempts to poison him, like, you're not somebody that we're gonna give a chance to. Let's put it that way. And it's not
yeah.
somebody we want you to even have access to your children at this point. So
Ugh.
they're considering, like, you don't have the character and the track record to even be free right now.
No.
No.
She has been in jail for 2.5 years now at this point.
Waiting
And
trial. Yep.
let's not forget she's 35 now, so she's still relatively young.
Yeah.
Her attorneys tried to argue that there had been material change in circumstances required to modify the court's pretrial detention order by saying one of the state's key witness statements changes the landscape to a degree that cannot be ignored. Robert Crozier told Carmen Lober Oxycontin pills, not fentanyl. That's
Okay,
what they're.
so what they're saying is CL, that woman that she
Yes,
was painting, that he's saying, I never sold CL,
fentanyl.
fentanyl, so if Corey poisoned him with fentanyl, she didn't get it from CL, who
Yes,
she was texting
yes.
to get her the, Michael Jackson stuff.
So this is really kind of getting complicated here because
Yeah,
now this person is trying to save their own ass as
right.
well, and they're saying I only sold her oxy. So that changes the evidentiary landscape in a way that precludes a finding of substantial evidence to support the charge of aggravated murder, is what her attorney's saying. Like
Okay, so they're trying to say if he got poisoned by fentanyl, it wasn't from what she
from
obtained.
right, it was right. They're saying we are telling you it was oxy that she purchased. So if you're saying she died of fentanyl, then it couldn't have been her. Like she couldn't have just got it from somewhere
But
else.
you know
Like,
how many times these dealers, like, think they're selling one pill and it's really not that
yeah,
at
yeah,
all?
yeah.
Maybe they look like oxy pills, but they were really fentanyl or laced with, like you said, they're just trying to cover their asses.
I think the dealer's trying to get on a lesser charge, and then the attorney is using that to kind of get the murder charges dismissed, saying that she didn't use the fentanyl, it wasn't Corey's fentanyl,
Yeah.
and she had nothing to do with it.
Oh, where did it come from then? You think he just poisoned himself and wanted to frame her for killing him? Like,
And let's not forget she's the one who made the Moscow Mule. He didn't make it for himself.
right. She
The
admitted that. She said she made it
Yep.
for him. What
Yep.
an
So,
idiot.
and on in
By the way, like,
2023, the court found evidence that supported the aggravated murder charge. Judge Richard Mrazek, however, said Crozier's retraction does not render his former statement inadmissible. So the
good.
judge isn't having any of this bullshit,
Yeah.
which is great. This seems like a level-headed judge here.
Yeah,
A
he
re-
sees right through it, and yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
A reasonable jury could choose to credit Mr. Crozier's statements to detectives in May 2023 over the statements in September 2025, given that they were made 2 years closer in time to the events in question, is what
Yeah,
the
that makes
judge
sense
said.
because he
Yeah.
made the statement, yeah, closer in time to when it happened versus 2 years later, you're
Yeah.
like, "No, no,
Yeah.
that's not what I."
After
No.
he's been sitting in jail for 2 years, trying to think of ways
Helping
probably to
out.
get the hell out of there. Yeah. A jury is going to believe his original statements.
Right.
So, additionally, Judge Mrazek said that Corey failed to address the other evidence that she had a motive to kill Eric. Mr. Crozier's recent recantation does not affect the weight of the evidence, the overall evidence at all, which I think Jackie and I can agree with. The pills, that's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the huge picture that we
The
painted
fact that
of,
she's contacting Carmen CL to get this stuff on more than one occasion.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the money she stole from the accounts, the credit card, the life insurance, several attempts of the poisoning. This
God.
this is who she is,
Yeah.
that person. So the court documents
Yeah.
state that while Corey may be able to use Crozier's recantation to poke holes in the state's case, the holes are not substantial enough to undermine the court's prior determination of homicide and the charges regarding the evidence.
Another thing that the defense is going to argue is CL. She has had trouble remembering the sequence of events because Corey reached out to her so many times to obtain drugs that some of her details were like wonky. And the police, when they were interviewing her, they were like presenting her with some information to help jog her memory. And then she's
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah, you know what? That helps me with my memory. So the defense is going to say, well, CL's only giving you this information because you guys basically led her down that path and you planted these things in her head. So, but still, I think the crux of what this judge is trying to say is you can poke these holes all you want about credibility of these witnesses and drug dealers, but at the same time, like Corey was very obvious in the stage she was setting
Mhm.
with trying to poison him, taking out life insurance policies, trying to change beneficiaries. Like she was on a fucking roll 2 months leading up to this.
Mhm.
So go ahead, poke your holes, but I don't see a way out of this, Jenna. And you know how we do try to be fair in a lot of these cases, like for God's sakes, I mean, we were explaining to people how we think maybe Scott Peterson's not guilty, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, let me try to think about this from the standpoint of a defense attorney. I got nothing.
Well, I do want to say
I
that
got nothing. Like,
this was 100% premeditated. I mean, this is first degree murder in the most general speaking terms. I
obvious,
mean, it's so obvious. Yeah.
blatant. I mean, I can't, even if you paid me to defend her, I don't know that I could come up with much here other than what they're trying to poke holes at, right? That's all
Yeah.
you can do because this not good for her at all.
And it's also the many charges. It's not just a homicide. It's also the assault and the drugs. And this woman fucking thought she was so smart that she could actually write a children's book about grief and sell it
Yeah.
after she allegedly killed her husband. She thought she could get away with that. She thinks she can get away with everything. It's not happening. Was this her plan all along? He was pretty wealthy. He had a great job, good family. Did she target him and have 3 children and then after she had the kids and everything, then kind of start her plan in action? I just feel like she just moved so quickly through everything.
She admitted in that email that was going around the internet that she had like postpartum depression after having her kids. But like, I do wonder, was she always a psychopath or did that develop later?
Oh,
I feel
I
like
think
it
she
was that
always was.
way.
I think she was always this way. If you interviewed people who grew up with her,
Yeah.
I bet they would tell you she was fucking crazy. Like, she reminds me so much of Jodi Arias. Jodi was obsessive over Travis Alexander,
Oh, I
but
know.
I think Corey was obsessive over Eric's money and lifestyle. and that's what she wanted, and she just couldn't get enough of it.
Well, just to leave you on this note, the definition of a psychopath, and just to make sure we're using the right term here and not sociopath. A psychopath is a person with a personality disorder marked by a profound lack of empathy, remorse, and guilt, combined with antisocial behavior, manipulativeness, and egocentricity, often masked by superficial charm, leading to a disregard for others' rights and potential criminal tendencies.
Well, that about sums.
Yeah, I think she fits the bill. I think we're correct in calling her a psychopath.
Mhm. That's the
And
correct usage of the word in
yeah,
this case.
yeah.
And like we always say, it's the children who suffer the most. They had 3 young sons and now are left with no dad and no mom because she'll be in prison.
I mean, I just keep thinking about that book and how poignant it is. It paints such an emotional picture that I'm sure were real things that she was experiencing with her boys and putting into words. But knowing you allegedly did that to their father to cause those boys to go through that every
What
day.
a monster. What
To
a
wonder if daddy's
fucking
seeing my
monster.
soccer goals. Is daddy
It was
seeing
sick.
my Christmas presents? Is he there when I'm having a panic attack? Like, you bitch. Oh
It
my
was
God.
It was sickening. Sickening. Yeah. So we will definitely be following her trial. I expect, Jackie, that it'll be a few weeks long.
Absolutely. I'll be watching as much as I can before
Mhm.
I go back to work in the middle of February
Yeah.
and kind of recapping what I've learned. But I wish she would just take a plea deal at this point, honey, because it's not looking good for you. Again, this is how it's like Brian Walshy, right? Like
Mhm.
this is how much they think they're just smarter than everybody. They're like,
Mhm.
I think I did a great job covering my tracks.
Yeah.
So, try to prove me guilty. Well, we
Yeah.
always fucking do.
Yep.
So I dropped a lot of F bombs today. She
Yeah.
made me mad.
She did. She really got us going because we just had no tolerance for this type of manipulation and like horrible abuse of her children, using them, using Eric. She just used everyone probably her whole life. It kind of reminds me of Devin Michaels too. Just
Oh,
using
yeah.
people for whatever she can get, and that's just how she lived her life. But now she's not going to get to do that anymore because she'll be in prison and she won't be writing any more books. Or will she? I don't know.
You know what, honey? Why don't you go manipulate some prisoners and whatever?
Why don't you write a book about my first time in jail? Why don't you write a book about coping with being in jail?
Yeah, how about that?
Fuck
All
it.
right, guys, as we close out here, remember to like, follow,
Mhm.
share, and subscribe. And I know we sound like a broken record, but that is how we get credit for what we do to bring
Yeah.
you these shows.
Yeah, we
Until
will.
next time, we'll see you on Headline Highlights on
Mhm.
Monday.
Yep.
Thank you for watching and listening, and we hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed today's episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.